Chance to do it, right?
My
You do the Irish dance.
Yeah, the Irish river dance.
Give me a few beers like
All right.
I
Okay, now since we've been doing this without a lot of music and a lot of other things that's going on, to kind of bring the energy in together, could we just acknowledge us? Just make some noise here. And we know we don't have to believe it. We know we don't have to welcome it. And so what I'm feeling, my inner self is saying tonight is, let's just dive in and go forward and just see what happens. And we left off on page 207 in the Course of Love. And we're dealing with the section called Freedom of the Body, which is, what do I do with it? The Course in Miracles is really funny. It says the body cannot ever really be free. There's no such thing. It says there's no such thing as freedom of the body. It says it's no such thing as freedom of the body. And because the body is limited. It can't go through walls and stuff like that in the way we have it. I mean, I'm sure there's some level of consciousness where you get to where you can walk through walls, but I think that only happens when you realize you're one with it. I mean, to pass through it, you kind of have to merge with it, wouldn't you? So if you really want to pass through solid objects, you can't be solid yourself. And we're not. And we're not. So one of the things that I wrote from this section, we can start at 2311, page 207. Okay. Belief fosters union. Union doesn't foster belief because in unity, belief is no longer required. Belief fosters the union of atoms and cells into the form required by the belief of the separated self. So first you believed that you wanted to be separate. He says then you believed the union of your atoms and your cells to form your body. First I decided to be separate, then I made a body to be separate with. That's what he said. First we decided to be separate, then we made a body to be separate with, out of our belief. First we decided to be separate, then we made a body out of our beliefs.
Belief came first. Okay,
so the body is nothing but an accumulation of beliefs.
When did we make that decision?
Before we did it.
Before being in this plane.
Yeah. Yeah, that's you know, the form always comes after the content, after the thought, after the idea. So first you got to have the idea, then you have the form. And let me pose this question, which is kind of interesting. If I broke that camera, would the idea that created that camera create other cameras, and so I could go out and get another camera? Just like that one, right?
Sure.
So, which is most real then? The idea of the camera or the camera?
The idea of the camera.
Okay, so if we're physical bodies, just like that's a physical camera, then what we must be an idea, not the body. Just like we just said there. And the idea of us can produce many different forms or many different bodies. But just like the idea of the camera can produce many physical cameras. We're physical, so we have to also have come through the same process of being the physical manifestation of an idea. So the Course in Miracles teaches that God is an idea and that you are an idea. And so the more you share an idea, the stronger it becomes, because the more people share the idea, the stronger it becomes. So what we're supposed to be doing in here is sharing the ideas of God, the ideas of love, the ideas of freedom, the ideas of truth, so it can become strong. This is almost like an aerobics exercise. This is going on spiritually. This is like spiritual aerobics. We come here to strengthen ideas by sharing these ideas with each other. And the stronger an idea becomes, then we know it's going to manifest. And an idea is the one thing that you can share with somebody and still keep. I can share an idea of going to the movie with you, but I still got the idea of going to the movie. Now you got the idea of going to the movie too, so now the idea is stronger. So anything real, whenever you share it, you don't lose it, you increase it. And that's how you can tell something is real. You can't lose it, and it only increases when you share it. So anything I can lose isn't real. It's just a line that makes people mad sometimes in the Course of Miracles that says, what can change was never love. And people get all uptight when they hear that. Well, I know I really did. It's changed, but I know it was real. I really, really loved him, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, you know, it can never change if it's real. So, so that paragraph was saying belief causes union, and in unity, belief is no longer required. Belief can also foster the creation of form. So anything that you want to create in form, you can create through belief. And this is form. So it's nothing physical that we can create. That's deep.
Yeah.
That is, yeah.
That's deep. Then it says belief and form have a symbiotic relation. No, that's the other paragraph. If form is an extension of belief, you can see why what you believe is critical to how you live in form. What you believe is critical to how you live in form. What's physical is going to come from my belief, so I should see why it's critical. What I believe is critical to how I'm going to live. What I believe is critical to how I'm going to live. What you believe is critical to how you're going to live. What you believe is critical to. Hey! Okay. We are speaking here of ways of thinking similar to those which you term induction and deduction. In the past, exercises have most often begun with an alteration of beliefs regarding form. Here we have taken an opposite approach, beginning with exercises to alter your belief in your identity and with exercises to alter your belief in form. That's let me just
cool.
Focus on that just for a second. That's a really cool statement.
Yeah, that really is.
In the past, we used to constantly read about basically how to change our beliefs in order to change things. And then what the Course of Love is saying, we're going to do it through the changing of your belief about who you are. Instead of trying to change your beliefs, we're going to change your whole sense of identity. And out of changing your whole sense of identity, that's how you're going to see everything change. You know, it's like the chicken and the eagle in the barnyard story. You know, y'all heard that one?
Yes.
Yeah, about the eagle that was raised with the chickens, and he thought he was a chicken until he found out he was an eagle. And as soon as he found out he was an eagle, he flew off.
I heard the guy got his head chopped off for making an eagle act like a chicken.
Is that right?
This is my dad.
Oh, okay. Well, he wanted you to feel
I
really
grew up on
good.
that.
He wanted you to feel really good. So the point that I'm making though is that as soon as you remember who you are, you have all the abilities of who you are. Like if I'm a musician and I have amnesia and I don't remember that I can play saxophone, as soon as I remember who I am, I'll be able to play saxophone. I won't remember who I am and then have to go to classes. The minute I remember who I am, I have the use of all the potentials and abilities I had already developed but I forgot about. So the once we remember that we're children of God, we will also instantly know how to create, because we already do. So everything we're working for through changing our beliefs, we'll just be able to do it because that's what we are. I like that, like knowing that all problems are identity problems. That as soon as I know who I am, I have abilities far beyond what I even imagine I have right now. So for me, it's about waking up to who I really am. And then it says here, the second exercise concludes with altering your belief in form. In other words, we're now being taught not to believe that it's the form that's real, it's the content that's real. We used to be, we're changing our belief about the body. We're changing our beliefs about form. We're changing our beliefs about the physical. And what's the biggest change of belief that we're having about the physical?
This is right.
What?
We're going to die.
The biggest change is that it's real. What we're changing our belief about the physical is that it's the ultimate reality. That it is the standard of reality. We're changing our mind about that. We're beginning to learn that form isn't what's real. It's the content of the idea behind the form that's real. So by the time you see something physical, You're looking at the tail end of a creation, not the beginning of it. This class came after you believed in the stuff that this class teaches.
That's so cool.
Really?
The person who loves you shows up after you're loving yourself.
Mm-hmm.
They're the end result of an idea. So you know you believe what this is saying because you were the one that created the book.
Right.
And you're the one that created me sitting here telling you what it's saying so that you wouldn't forget even when you've forgotten. See what I'm saying? I'm sitting up here, I've forgotten that I'm the Holy Son of God himself, totally innocent, totally powerful, creating everything in my experience is coming from my own choice, right? So what I did as a fail-safe was created a reality where the people around me would be reminding me of that when I forget it, and I think I'm just a guy named Earl Purdy out here trying to make it. So you already believe this stuff is true. That's why we're sitting here, so that you can remind yourself of what you already believe. You created this moment. You are creating this moment, and everything that's happening in this moment is coming from you.
So,
Yay, Chris.
so Earl, like,
Yeah.
I almost died. This May, it's going to be almost 2 years that I died. And I believe that there's a direct correlation to that in me being here, because when I was in the second hospital, I had this profound experience. And then things just fell into place, and I'm here now. So then what you were saying, that I thought the class before I came.
Right.
So then is that like a connection to that?
Absolutely. This is what you wanted to remember. You wanted to remember it to the point that you decided to stick around a little while longer. Yeah, or you just might have been feeling. See, I always tell people, we don't worry about dying. You're too guilty to die. that would be letting you off the hook entirely too easy to die.
That's
So
easy.
you ain't dying. You're not dying. You're too guilty to die. You feel too guilty to die. You gotta stick around long enough to punish yourself a little bit more.
Yeah. A little more guilt.
Yeah. So it's like I don't know if you ever saw Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Anybody ever remember that movie, Who Framed, with Jessica Rabbit, the most obscene rabbit ever painted on in a movie. First time I ever got turned on by a cartoon character, but that's a whole nother, and a rabbit at that. I felt particularly perverted. It was a rabbit too.
No.
So, but luckily I was studying the course and I thought I was innocent. Okay, and if you recall, there were some evil characters that died from laughing. Like if they would laugh so hard that they would leave their bodies, and that's how they got them to die in a sense, because they knew if they could make them laugh, they were going to leave their bodies. That's us. That's us. That's us. If we have to keep the Course in Miracles says we have to keep a certain amount of fear going in order to stay grounded and earthbound and in our bodies, because whenever you feel afraid, it makes you feel more physical. And it's like, this is hard. The Course says this is a concrete form of fear. And we're beginning to love ourselves and to feel better about ourselves. So you'll find that as you begin to love yourself and feel happy, that you're too big for your body to contain. That what you really are so vast that to shrink yourself down to this size takes a lot of strain. And that's why we're tired all the time, because it's really the energy we're expending to keep ourselves in a limited form when we really want to do an unlimited expansion. So when you're happy, you feel expanded. When you feel love, you feel expanded, So the part of us that wants to stay separate has a vested interest in keeping us afraid all the time about one thing or another, because the fear keeps you contracted in your body in a form. So we're experts at creating just enough fear to keep us in the body, but not so much fear we want to get rid of it. So then we talk about getting rid of our fears, but then we really don't, because it's not an intolerable level of fear. It's the level of fear that you need to maintain your physical reality the way it is right now. So as you say you want a more expansive reality, then you have to let go of more of your fear so that the forms that are created are more loving. Which is what this is. Which is what this is. This is a garden. This is a garden, and we're tending to it by sharing these ideas.
So fear is what is keeping me here then?
Yes.
And the more I let go of that, the more I expand, and the more I'm too big for my body.
Ultimately, you're going to find out you're too vast to just be limited to a physical body. But right now, it's really about, can you look at your experience here innocently enough to use the world for what it was meant to be used for, which is to teach you that you're not separate from love and God. The purpose of the world is to teach you that you're not separate from God and you're not separate from love. He says that if that becomes your purpose in the world, then the world is transformed and it becomes the most loving, enchanting place you could ever be in. It's our purpose that's keeping the problems going. It's our sense of identity that's keeping the problems. What he was saying, as long as I think I'm a man who is a victim of outside circumstances and somebody has done something to me, that perception creates a whole set of needs. The need for food, clothing, shelter, checking people out, can I trust them, processing. All that comes from a perception of yourself as a limited body. But he says now that once you remember that you are an unlimited spiritual being, then you only have one need. And that one need is to remember it. And out of that one need, everything else will be taken care of. Because that's what you came here to do. You came here to remember your divinity. You came here to remember you're one with God. So the minute you really make that a sincere goal and not just something that sounds nice, as soon as you make that a sincere goal, you will be given what you need to stay. The people will be sent to you to give you the money that you need to stay. Some people will be sent to you to show you how much you need to change your mind about receiving. But you will be taken care of the once you say, the reason why I'm here is to remember who I really am and remember my oneness with God. And I want everything in my life to be used for that purpose. I want everything in my life to be used for the purpose of reminding me of my freedom, the truth, the love. Once you say that, then everything in the world has to become a means to achieve whatever your goal is. So what's jamming us up is not the world, it's our purpose, it's our goals, it's what we're valuing that's kicking our butt. Because we're valuing what is valueless. And he said, well, what is valueless? Anything that's not going to last.
Okay. Cool.
Well, what do I value? Everything that doesn't last. Well, then how do I keep from hurting myself dealing with all this temporary stuff that doesn't last? How do I keep myself from being hurt here in the world? He says, well, all you got to do is remember that it's not real. What do you mean by remembering it's not real? He says, well, real means constant, permanent, and everlasting. So when it says something's not real, it's not saying you're not experiencing this book as being in your hand. It's saying this book will not be permanent, constant, and everlasting. That's all unreal means. Not permanent, not constant, not everlasting.
And similar bodies.
Yeah, it's not saying I can't go through the illusion that I'm reading it. But I'm fooling myself if I think this book is going to be here 500 million years from now, probably. So what hurts us is not the illusion that we live in. What hurts us is forgetting that it's not real.
Say it again, please.
Yeah, the Course teaches that what hurts us is not really the physical illusion. Like people said, they get scared of the world. This is an illusion. I can't enjoy it. This is an illusion. This is not real. So they start to criticize it and condemn it. And the Course is saying, no, the only time an illusion hurts you is when you forget it's an illusion.
Right.
Okay, in other words, if I don't expect the book to last forever, then I won't be hurt when it doesn't.
Cool.
So are the other humans in the world an illusion? Unless you love them?
No, everybody else is as real as you are.
Well,
But it's
can I,
temporary.
The form that we are inhabiting is temporary. So the only thing that's temporary is the body, is the form. The way you look now is probably not the way you looked 40 years ago. It's certainly not the way I looked 40 years ago, but I'm still here. So there's me and my changing form. There's me and my changing
So
form.
instead of it being an illusion, it's temporary.
Which is the same, which would be the definition of an illusion. One of the definitions of an illusion is that it's something that doesn't last. And so when people hear stuff like it doesn't last, they tend to substitute with that idea that they can't enjoy it. Doesn't last, can't enjoy it, doesn't last. It's like, no, you can really enjoy it if you realize it doesn't last, because you will be present with it right now, enjoying it as long as you can. So actually, if you were to really realize that nothing here lasted, then you'd be enjoying everything here more, because you know you have to be present right now to let yourself receive it. And so what's keeping us from enjoying it right now is the belief in guilt and sin and separation. In other words, I could enjoy my physical reality, but I'm too busy judging it, whether it's innocent or guilty or sinful or bad. So I got the bad good thing going on. So I can't really enjoy it because I'm too busy judging it.
It's like when my white sundress that I love and looks so good on me, I won't wear it because I'm afraid I'm going to ruin it, and I love it so much and it looks so good on me that I don't wear it.
Right, so it's the Course in Miracles would call a special form of fear.
Right.
Which means that I'm really afraid. My white sundress is really making me afraid because most of the time I'm afraid something's going to happen. So it's like when I get a brand new car and you be like scared to park it, right? Because you're scared somebody's going to ding it or nick it or bump it or something. And then all of a sudden, actually you're not in love with your car, you're in fear of your car.
Yeah, wow.
When I had a rat trap, I wasn't worried about that. That matter of fact, everybody else was getting away from me. I would come into a parking lot and I have a place to park immediately. Everybody back off. It's all about the way you look at it.
Ooh, yeah.
It's all about the way you look at it. Yeah.
So if I look at the physical world
Mm-hmm.
like an ice cream cone
That's the way I look at it.
and enjoy it, because I know that the ice cream cone's not going to last very long.
Right.
It's going to change. So everything is constantly changing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't get hung up on the form. I need to see the content.
That's right.
of it.
That's right. It's the content that's what's real. It's like comparing a picture to a frame. It's like usually when people go to an art gallery, they really are supposed to be purchasing the picture. But some people go for the frame more than the picture. They don't even really care about the picture because he makes such good frames that people don't even care about the picture.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Literally.
That's just very true.
Yeah, yeah.
I just did that.
Yeah, and that's us being that way about bodies. There was a time in my experience where how the person's body looked meant more to me than what they was thinking. Because I wanted them and I didn't even know what they was thinking. I just saw their body. So I didn't even know what they were thinking. So that was a case of the frame being more important than the content. And then if I really wanted the frame, I said, well, I could take the content to a class. They'll learn how to wake up in the meantime. I'm having a great time with this frame. And I don't have to feel guilty because I am introducing the content to the truth. See, if you want to feel guilty, you won't appreciate that logic. If you want to be limited, you'll always come up with a reason why you want to do what you want to do. If you believe, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's a trip, man, when you really start to realizing that everybody's making themselves miserable because of the meanings that they're giving to everything, but everything is beautiful, harmless, neutral, there to be appreciated. But and that's where the whole world is. It's just sitting here going, and then we're walking down the street, well, that's bad, that's good, that's all right, that's not all right, that's gonna send you to hell, that's gonna send you to hell. It's like we judging the whole thing and not allowing ourselves to appreciate it at all because the thing is right on the other side of our perception of it. I really do exist. It's not like when it says an illusion, it means that I don't exist or you don't exist. We do exist, but I'm right on the other side. On the other side of your belief about me is me. Mm-hmm. That's where Earl is located, right beyond your belief about what you think about him. Because all you're seeing is your own projected beliefs about me.
Oh.
Think about how little this is an example. Think about how little you actually know me. You know what I'm saying? Really, you just see me come to the class, teach a class, and sincerely as I can, we hug, we go. You know what I'm saying? But I'm sure there are people who think they know me. Just like they think they know you. But what they know is their idea of who they think you are. And then they paint their own picture around that. Because I mentioned partying a lot, there are a lot of people think that that's all I do is party. And I go to wild parties and I'm partying all day. And I'll just be sharing an interesting experience that I just had. But because they're of a similar nature, because you usually say party, then people can't. But I'm not a big sports fan. I'd much rather be at a party, dancing. So I'm just sharing with you the arena I play in. Some people play in the sports arena. I play in the party arena. That's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What if your beliefs are like my belief of you is a very beautiful belief?
Right.
It's a very beautiful winged naked black bald man belief or something. I did I just say that?
Yes, you did.
I take that
I was
back.
trying to picture a naked bald man, a naked black bald man.
Say that again.
That's simple.
I meant, you know,
No, I get your point. I get your point.
free and sweet.
Well, this is the way I look at it. I get your question.
I really didn't mean to say that.
No, you can say no. You can say anything. You can say
But
anything.
it's a beautiful belief.
Yeah.
What if I've been going around
Uh-huh.
with looking at things just like with beautiful, they're judgments, but beautiful judgments, and really smelling the roses. I mean, I've been going through a real hot zone, man. I mean, it's really sweet. And what do you say about that? I mean, if your beliefs, if my beliefs are of I think they are of truth. I mean, they're loving thoughts. Just loving thoughts are just spinning out of my head, and just on inanimate objects, animate objects, human beings, of course, things like that. You, Jeff, Laurel. I mean, name it, whoever. Is that okay? I mean, I know it's okay.
I know you know it's okay, but I get what your question
But
is. Yeah, it's funny. It was like two different things were coming to me when you were saying that. Like
Right.
there's there's a sign in the Course in Miracles that talks about your the dreams you like can hold you back as much as those that you don't like. But what's loving is more in line with what is true, as long as you don't forget that it's not what's true. Because in most cases, when people say that they're looking at everything and they're looking at it with joy and happiness, they're really looking at it with joy and happiness according to the meanings that they've given.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's like
That's-
most people say they're having a happy day. All they mean is most of the scripts that I made up for everybody today seem like it went the way that I wanted it to. When most people can say I'm happy, it just means the way that I made it up in my mind that it should be is the way it happened to go today. And that might not have nothing to do with real happiness at all. As a matter of fact, you know it don't, because the next day you're feeling bad, which means that today things didn't go the way the script that I set it up was supposed to be. So the optimum place that we're trying to get to is that we are so centered in the truth within ourselves that none of the ups and downs of what's going on outside of us affects our center of peace and happiness at all. So no matter what's happening, it's like my girl Byron Katie, who I like her stuff, her works. It's so cool. She was saying that she was about to lose her eyesight, and the first thing she said to herself was, that's interesting. I wonder what it'd be like to be blind. I have to be trying to, I'm gonna learn a whole new way of looking at things. I'm gonna have a different relationship with, she was like going through all the happy, wonderful things about going blind. That's somebody who's centered. Being centered means that no matter what comes at you, you don't leave your center of peace. That's what we're trying to get. What most people think it's about, how can I study this stuff so that I can get my fantasy to come true the way that I want it to come true. And and that's cool, because that's the stage we need to go through at first, because it makes us aware that our thoughts do have some effect over what we're experiencing. So that whole secret thing, manifesting thing, it has its place. It makes us aware that there is some link between what you think and what you experience. But the person that's really trying to wake up is trying to get in touch with their identity as a creator. Someone that was extended by a creator, so that you can let whatever created this use you to extend itself. Because if that happens, you're gonna have the best life you could possibly imagine. In other words, if the love that created everything, you said you wanted that love to use you, then you would have a life beyond your wildest dreams. So an awakening being is not trying to figure out and come up with the stuff they think that's going to make them happy. What an awakening being is doing is trying to get out the way so that the love that created everything can use their friggin' life in their body. Like my favorite prayer now when I get up is, God, live your life through me today. It's like, whatever this is, that's the love, that's the power that I'm reading about in this book. Live your life through me today. And then what started happening when I started to do that was everything I ever thought I wanted started to show up. And the only thing I had to do was decide whether or not I still wanted to choose it or not. I still had the same values I had when I first asked for it. That's what's going to happen. All the stuff you're working for is going to show up. And then you'll get a chance to see how you feel about receiving.
So then does that mean because that's my big issue with fear, does that mean then you start saying yes to things that you don't want to do?
No. Because guess what? That's what you've always been doing. That's what we're taught here. That's called being a good member of society. For most people, is how good you can do what you don't want to do all day. It's like the course it teaches that that's actually what creates fear. That fear comes from doing what you don't want to do all the time, or behaving as you think you should without really wanting to, which is what most people do. They're always behaving the way they think they ought to behave. That's why I always tried to have friends from the time I got into this stuff when I was in my early 20s, who my friends were just the opposite. It was like we were always trying to practice how free could we be. It was just the opposite of what we saw everybody else trying. It's like how much can you show me of who you are that I won't attack and condemn, that I would make you feel innocent about, which is a lot more fun. It's a lot more fun, to be somewhere where your only purpose in being there is to give and receive love, and just be the love. Just stand up there and be the love. That's the way it was when I was at that party. I could just stand still, and some beautiful being would walk up to me and just sometimes just grab me and just hug me for about 5 minutes. And I never laid eyes on her or him, and they're just gorgeous. Come up,
But that's what I'm talking about.
and then let you go and walk away. Where the ego man was like, oh, I gotta get that. Let me get that phone number. Hey, baby, what can I text you? You hug me, I'm gonna have to hit this some kind of way around here. Lord have mercy. It's like, if you're a conscious being, you realize that there's nothing to get. There's nothing to get.
Because you have it all.
Yeah, it's just about how much can you appreciate what's already there that you couldn't see because you didn't love yourself enough to even notice it was there. It's so different from the way I thought it was when I first got into this new thought metaphysical stuff. I realized that really what I was trying to do at first was treat God like God was a genie that I could rub God's belly, and then God would give me the house, give me the car, give me the job, give me the 10 pounds I want to lose, give me the, it's like God was supposed to be like this genie for me, and I thought that was higher consciousness. And then I realized that the spirit didn't care about it. You could ask for anything you wanted, you could have anything you wanted, and that's cool. It's like, but if you want to be happy, you need to remember who you are. Because if you don't forget who you are, let's say you're the most creative thing in the world, and you can create anything in the universe that you want to create, right? Any idea you think you can create. Well, if you lose sight of who you are, you start to confuse yourself with your own creations. Because you've forgotten who you are. So all of a sudden, you make something, and all of a sudden, since you don't know who you are anymore, you think you're the thing you just made. Hello? Hello? We think we're the thing we made. We think we're the thing we made. And I'm not talking about the ego that's sitting in the chair that don't know what's going to happen 3 hours from now. I'm not talking about that. That's not the you that created you. The you that created you is the one that you don't know about yet, that you're learning about through these classes. That's the you that created you, not the you that's sitting in the chair that's made up. The one in the chair is made up. It's nothing but an accumulation of memories and experiences and beliefs since the day you were born. That's what we call our identity. So people don't realize it. They're not talking from their real self. They're just talking from what they've been programmed and what they've learned. And they'll think they're really talking from their heart, and they're not. They're just talking the script. There are people who think if they're not married by the time they're 30, they're over the hill. That's a programming. That's a belief. That's a learning. That doesn't have anything to do with reality. There's no set age that everyone must get married. That's crazy. You're free. You're totally free. You're totally free. You're totally free. But freedom is knowing that you're innocent so that you won't punish yourself for your own creations.
Now, Earl, now I don't know if I'm perceiving this incorrectly, but I am realizing that now my sole purpose to come here and to do what I do is because I have told God I want to go home. And I want to go home so I could be with Him forever, because my idea is that I'll be in eternal bliss with God, and I will leave this place that has pain, that has discomfort, and I ain't going to experience any of that with Him. And so I want to go home. But is that a correct way of perceiving that?
Anytime you want to be with your Creator, anytime you want to be with Source, you're making the right choice, as far as I'm concerned. Because that's the ultimate lesson, is for me to heal my sense of separation from God. But the other thing that for me personally is also that this world that you are anxious to get out of, that world will change right before your eyes as soon as you forgive. And as soon as you recognize the truth, see what I'm saying? All this stuff that everybody's trying to escape from, they don't know they're just trying to escape from their own grievances, their own insecurities, that's being projected out. Remember, the physical world is nothing but a reflection of an idea, a belief. So all the stuff that we're calling bad is just a reflection of the beliefs we have in our own mind of fear and anger and separation. That's just how. So when you say you want to escape, you're really saying you want to let go of the thoughts that block you from knowing that you are loved. That's the only escape. The only escape is letting go of the ideas in your own mind that's creating the things that you're afraid of. And that's what's so cool, because that means your happiness does not depend on anybody else in the room. It just comes from you accepting the truth for yourself and practicing it in your own life. That's much easier than trying to change your mother, your father, your friends, your cousins, your relatives. You know, that's how you know when you're beginning to get this stuff, because you just silently apply it to yourself, and you don't try to get anybody else involved because you basically don't even want to hear their opinion. When you wake up and you're sure of your path, you're very silent, because people have a tendency to feel like they need to give you their opinion about what you're doing. But if you're sure of what you're doing, you don't need their opinion, so you just do it and you don't talk about it. When you're still trying to figure it out, you're talking about it, which means you haven't made the decision yet.
Yeah.
You understand? You get what I'm saying? That's where I am now. Most of the time I don't tell people what I think, because I don't want to hear what they got to think, what they think about it. Because I'm okay about what I'm thinking, and I want to think it and use it. But I've noticed that my mind in the world works like this. You say something out loud, it's different from what somebody else believes, and they feel like it's their duty to somehow give you the opposite point of view or their opinion of what you just said, or to correct it, especially in the New Age, New Thought, Higher Consciousness, Personal Growth community, which is where everybody corrects everybody all the time about everything that they say, because nobody's sure what they're talking about. That's how you know nobody know a damn thing. Everybody correcting everybody. The one thing you realize when you begin to wake up is that the only thing you see in somebody else is something that needs to be corrected in your mind. Yeah. So if you're really conscious when you see somebody doing something you don't like, you know it's just something in your mind that needs to be corrected, so you don't even bring it up to them at all. Because there's nobody to bring it up to. It's just reflecting your own consciousness. You change it, it'll change. Can I do that in every situation? Of course not. But at least I know the direction that I want to go in. And then I forgive myself when I slip up along the way. Then you have fun on the journey. But the way we learn through the world is every time you make a mistake, then you should beat yourself up for that. You make mistakes all the time on the way to learning, so you beat yourself up all the time, and then we wonder why people are not excited about change or learning. Unless you can feel innocent about the mistakes you make, you're not going to do the things necessary to allow yourself to go to the next level, because you're going to be too busy trying to be right more than you want to be happy. It is all about, we all have great, this book is telling us every way possible to have beautiful, innocent relationships, and we still walk around saying, how do you have relationships? That's because people are looking to hear what they've made the answer up to be. And so until they hear somebody say the answer they've made up, they say they don't even hear the answer. You know, we've been told over and over again what to do to live forever. We've been told over and over again what to do to have prosperity and abundance. But we're still asking questions because we're looking for it to validate the way that we already believe it should be, even though it hasn't worked for us at all. That's what's so funny. You know, it's like we're defending the thought system that's only brought us pain. That's crazy. That's crazy. Instead of saying, you know what, I've done the separation thought system for years and years and years and years and years and years. I've done it for years. Okay, I've given it a shot, thinking I'm separate from all of you all, thinking I'm a victim, thinking I'm a man, thinking I'm black, thinking all that stuff. Done it, experienced a life based on that idea. Now, what kind of life would I experience if I believed just the opposite of all of that? I would have to get the opposite of what I've been experiencing. Well, what have I been experiencing? Ups and downs. Feeling good, feeling bad. Things look like they work, things look like they don't work. What's the opposite of that? Everything working. So how do you get there? You do everything just the opposite of whatever the world tells you is true. Because the world is based on limitation. So if you want to be unlimited, you listen to what the world says and you do it to the degree that you don't cause yourself any conflict, and you in your mind don't believe any of it. And then do what's right based on who you really are. And I'm a child of God. I'm an unlimited consciousness. I'm a spirit that creates through my thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs. And everything that happens to me is coming to me based on what I believe, deep down inside, conscious or unconscious. So how do I get out of any dilemma? I create within myself through tuning into the Holy Spirit, which is just a part of me that actually knows the truth and loves me. That's all the Holy Spirit is. Just a part of us that actually does really give a damn about us and really care about us and really sees our innocence, that's connected to source. Listen to that part of us. Let it tell us how to think, because everything is coming from thinking. So that means that all the answers must be in your mind, because that's where the problem is. So none of the answers are outside, because the problems are never outside. So there is no answer outside, because the problem is in my thinking, in my mind. So you'll never find the answer except where you're located, which is wherever the problem is. The answer is right beside it. That's where the intelligent creator would do things. Well, where's the problem? In my mind. Where's the correction? In my mind. What's the correction? A new set of thoughts. Where's the new set of thoughts? What do I need to do? Remember them. Why? So that when things come up, I can use this definition instead of the one I learned from the world in terms of how to deal with it. How can I get that if I never read? You can't. That's the trick. That's why things stay the same, because you won't give yourself the new thought system, and then you won't remember the new thought system, so that when things come up, you'll use the new thought system to interpret instead of the old one. I've often told friends who I notice are sometimes judgmental of people who are different and who do things different and who are more open and uninhibited and experimental. And they'll be complaining about their dull life or not enjoying their social life. I say, you're not going to come into a world of people who are uninhibited and free and loving and kind and gentle and are willing to try new things when all you're going to do is show up there and be the judge. That your vibration is too different from true people, from people who are really free and really innocent. Your vibration of judgment keeps you away from them and them away from you, and then you are surrounded by other people that judge just like you, and then you try to have a good time and you're all judging each other. That's why people do wild things one night, punish themselves the next day, because it's only through punishment that we think we can straighten out what we just did wrong. So we're moving out of that thought system altogether.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. We're moving out of the guilt, sin, thought system. And you know you've tried it, so you know it's okay to try something else now. Well, what's that? Well, what would it be like to be in a thought system that said you were not limited, that you are innocent, that you are powerful, that you can have love, that it is possible to be saved, that you're not a victim of a situation, that you are eternal and you're not something that dies. That sounds great to me. How can I get there? Well, first of all, you need to admit to yourself you don't know how to get there and you can't do it on your own. Sorry, you have now asked for something that you cannot do on your own. So forget it. You're not going to wake up on your own. You're not going to get this on your own. You've asked for something that is impossible for you to know how to do. What do you mean? Well, you are listening to a thought system that says it's possible for you to live forever. It's possible for you to be happy and everyone else to be equally happy and everybody to be in joy and peace and love. Now tell me how you can figure out how to do that. I can't. Well, good. Now you finally asked for something that you can't do alone. And since you can't do it alone, you are no longer alone. That is a request for all kinds of help. Just you saying, I can't love everybody on my own. I can't solve my daughter's problem on her job. I can't do that on my own. I'm going to have to call in something greater than me. See, that's what all this is about. Getting everybody here to the point that they'll go, there must be a better way. I can't do this alone. I'm going to have to turn to something greater than me. That's all that pain you see your friends and relatives and neighbors going through, and everybody you know, all that drama they're going through right now. All that drama is just to bring them to the point one day that they go, I've reached my limit. There's got to be a better way. I'd rather be right. I'd rather be happy than right. I'm willing to do it differently now. And everybody's got a different level of what it takes to get them to that point. But everybody's going to do it. And the more you leave them alone, the faster they'll get there. Your interfering is keeping them from hitting the bottom fast enough to change their mind to get the help they need to go in the other direction. So don't choose who to help. Of course, unhealed healers sitting around picking the people they're going to help. So that's a sign of your ego. You don't really know what's best for anybody. You don't even know what's best for yourself. Yeah. All you can do is say, I want to be an instrument of love. I want to give and receive love. I like to have my perception corrected. I really want to have some peace. I'd like to have some guidance right now. That's what a conscious being is saying. They're realizing they don't know. So they're asking infinite intelligence to now be a part of their experience so they can stop making the same mistakes over and over again. But if people are trapped in their fantasies, I got to have this sexual experience, I've got to have this financial experience, I've got to have this career experience, then they're not going to let that go until they have the opportunity to have that experience. So it's easier to have an experience and let it go when you feel innocent about it than it is when you feel guilty about it. So the guilty you feel, the longer you keep messing around in the fantasy and not letting yourself have the reality of love. So, the sexual experience doesn't matter. The job experience doesn't matter. Why do we know it doesn't matter? Because none of that lasts. The body that had the sex doesn't last. The office you that the president of doesn't last. So all of that stuff is just an experience that you like to have. Let yourself have the experience. Stop judging yourself for the experience and know your real job is to give and receive love, have fun, play, remember who you really are. And then the world will become a way for you to do that. Everything will help you do that. That's the answer.
All right.
That's the answer.
All right.
That's the, and none of that's hard. All of it really is just a decision that you make that you're ready to go into the direction of your awakening.
Wow.
And some people will hear it, some people won't hear it, but guess what? Everybody will hear it. So that's why you don't have to worry about it. That's why you can go ahead and enjoy your life regardless of what anybody else around you is doing. Sooner or later they're going to go, you know what? There must be a better way. And in the meantime, you would have had such a good time, you would become more of an expert of what love and joy is, so you could be of help to them because you'd be so well practiced by the time they decided to join you. But that's not what the average person does. The average person stops what they're doing, join in the suffering, and try to convince the other person to change their mind.
Because that's what that's how we're raised.
That's how we're raised. And
yeah.
That's
and
right.
That's just so funny because it's so easy the other way.
Yeah.
Hello, say that
Yeah.
again.
It's just so easy the other way, where you said just be the love. You walk into the drama situation, and if you just be the love, then that's going to spread, and the drama's going to decrease, or you just won't be around the drama anymore.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what happens. And you try to. It's like you try to pass that message on to people that you know what? If I've been hanging around this, like sometimes people say to me, well, I'll say, sometimes I got upset about blah blah blah, and they'll say to me almost unfailingly, I can't believe that you still get upset and you've been studying it for 30 years. So what hope is there for me? See, that's total misperception.
Yeah.
That's nothing but their own ego trying to convince them not to even do it at the very beginning. That's their own lack of commitment to their path, and they need a justification for it. But the truth is, I learned 30 years for you so that you don't have to take 30 years to get the same result. It really is just the opposite of what people think it is. It will not take you 30 years. And you know it doesn't take you 30 years because you're sitting here looking at me right now, listening to me, which means you couldn't be here unless we was equal. So you don't need the 30 years. But there are some things I could tell you about having dealt with this for 30 years that might save you 30 years. You see what I'm saying? Like if I walked in, like my brother here makes beautiful frames. Okay, if I was to listen to him tell me how to do that and what I might have to watch out for, then I didn't have to do the 30 years of trial and error that he did to find that out. If I was willing to what? Trust him. Have faith in what he's saying. Trust his experience. That's what I try to do with the Course in Miracles, dealing with it for years and years. I try to tell people, this is the shortcut. You can analyze this till you go crazy. It will not work. You need to stop analyzing the Course in Miracles. All you need to do is make a Course of Love. All you need to do is make the decision that you are ready to see things differently, and you want to remember what the truth is, so that you can start interpreting your experience according to the truth. It isn't about analyzing it. There's nothing to analyze at all. As a matter of fact, your analyzation is a reflection of your fear of doing it. Because analyzation just keeps you from ever doing anything but analyzing. So it makes you think you're doing grand things. You're this great spiritual student because you're analyzing everything to death. But the truth is you're afraid to do what it's saying. You're trying to destroy the meaning of it so you don't have to do it because you're not ready to change yet. And you're innocent. The universe is like, you're so freaking innocent. That's okay. The Course calls it a detour into fear. It's like you're going on the highway of love and you go, I think I'll take a little detour into fear. And that's all you do every time you believe that you deserve to be punished for anything instead of lovingly corrected.
Wow.
Can you repeat that?
Wow. Huh? What'd you say? What'd you say?
You don't deserve to be punished, just lovingly corrected.
Just lovingly corrected.
That's right.
So I just repeat.
And
Well, see, it's hard to accept that when you still want it for somebody else. See, I know people who won't accept forgiveness because of somebody they still want to hold grievance toward, and they don't want to think they're about to let that they got to let that person off the hook. So they still suffer rather than let somebody else off the hook. But what they don't realize is that the other person doesn't feel your pain. the other person is not feeling your anger, your upset, your grievance, how you're making yourself sick. They don't feel any of that. That's the advantage of being separate. The advantage of being separate is that until we love each other, it'll look like we don't feel each other, which is a blessing. Who wants to feel a bunch of fearful, insecure, hateful beings who sometimes like people and sometimes love, depending on how good the other person acts? I don't want to feel your headache. I don't want to feel your stomach ache. I don't want to feel your diarrhea. I don't want to experience any of that stuff. So I am thankful that I'm separating everybody in here until we get to the point that we love ourselves and feel our innocence enough to only radiate love and know love. Does that make sense? It would be cruel for us to be in this universe and feel everything each other feels. So actually, even the separation is a reflection of God's love, as long as we don't love each other. Be glad we're separate until we recognize each other correctly. It's a blessing we're separate from each other until we treat each other right. That is beautiful, that when you walk up on a person that's injured, you don't feel their pain enough for you to be calm enough to be of help to them. So as long as we think we're separate, it's good that it's the way that it is. You see what I mean? So when you're seeing correctly, you feel okay about how things are. That's how you know you're getting it. You know you're getting it because all of a sudden you'll see where you are now as the best place you could possibly be to achieve the goal that you have. That's when you know you're seeing correctly. When you go, oh, being in this chair, being here right now, being the race I am, being the social economic condition I am, living in the house I'm living in, driving the car that I'm driving, everything in my experience right now is absolutely perfect. It's the best way it could be to allow me to wake up to my Godhood and my power and myself. And all I want to do is show up in the most peaceful, loving way I can, fully, in every situation, and watch the love go through me and transform my environment into a peaceful one for me to be in. And watch that happen. Blow your mind. But the ego is going to say, yes, but. Why? Because you're still scared to have it. So you got to come up with something that makes it not okay for you to have peace. It's deep, isn't it? So I'm going to stop. I'm going to get your question, and then I'm going to have to stop because it's like 5 minutes till.
Mine was about forgiveness. What if I have a person who I have years ago forgiven and let go of to go be in their, and I'm putting a judgment, sort of a miserable existence, but I don't want to be a part of that, you know, in this body. But they want to reconnect with me, but I don't, but I've forgiven them, but what is that?
Just because you've forgiven somebody don't mean you have to go out to lunch with them. So that idea that because you've forgiven somebody, that means y'all got to go hang out. That's not what it's saying at all. As a matter of fact, the way that in my perception, if I was in a situation like that with you, the first thing that came to mind is that it was really funny. There's two things you could do. You could completely be yourself. And if you completely be yourself, the person that's not on the same wavelength as you probably is going to get the heck away from you as fast as they possibly can. But the other thing that I was thinking about what you were saying is like, you know, just being honest. You know, there's no need for you to be with somebody that you don't really want to hang out with or spend time with. I mean, what's the pressure? You know what I'm saying? If you don't really want to spend time with them, you just would choose not to do that and not feel guilty about it and not feel like. See, one day you realize any decision that you make is, in whatever you're experiencing, is exactly what you're asking for. So even if you were to say to a person, right, and I really appreciate, you know, that you're asking me right now, but right now I think that, you know, that'd be the best thing for me to do, whatever you say. Whatever they're hearing from you is what they're asking for, which is really deep, because the way everything is set up is that you always get what you request in your perception. So no matter how you respond to me, that's really what I'm asking for. If you turn me down, that's really what I'm asking for. If you don't, that's really what I'm asking for. Now, do I think that's, like in other words, I can walk up to you and say, I want to go out with you, and you say, no, I don't want to go out with you. The truth is, that was what I really wanted, was to not go out with you, because that was what happens. See, what happens is always what you're really wanting, and it's not what you think you want. What's happening is what you want. So that's why it's okay for you to share with that person whatever it is you're really feeling in your heart. You don't mean it in malice, you know, and saying, you know, right now, you know, it's not something I really want to do. And if you feel that much fear and conflict about doing it, that's your cue that wouldn't be the best thing to do for me anyway.
What if they just don't hear you?
With that means that you're not hearing you. they're reflecting back to you your own. You're not certain about it, so they're not hearing you. You know, it's really about becoming certain about what you want for real within yourself.
So maybe I'm feeling like a bad person because I don't want to.
And yeah, you're feeling guilty, and then they're showing up to make you feel more guilty. You know, it's like they're witnessing back. But remember, just remember this, that you can give them to the Holy Spirit as part of yourself. You can say, I give you to the Holy Spirit as part of myself. This is a prayer at the end of chapter 15 in the Course in Miracles. It goes, I give you to the Holy Spirit as part of myself. I know that you will be released unless I want to use you to imprison myself. In the name of my freedom, I choose your release because I recognize that we will be released together. Say that over and over and over again and see what happens. You know, I give you to the Holy Spirit as part of myself. Because I don't want to use you to imprison myself. And I am using you to imprison myself if I'm using you to feel guilty. Which is what's happening in that situation. Is that there's some part of you that wants to be in prison, so therefore you create a situation that you feel guilty about. So it really don't have anything to do with the person at all. It's, do I want to know my innocence or do I want to know my guilt? That's the issue. So if you make a decision for your innocence, the rest of it will take care of itself. Whoa. Okay, stop now. Would y'all give it up to you? Oh my God. My goodness. I love how I always bring visual aids that I never use. But, but they look so cool sitting there. It makes me think I'm a real teacher. Because I have visual aids laying by me. So let's do. I don't know.
Jeff,
I don't know. I don't know.
That's
I don't know. Yes.
Can you do your chanting, singing thing?
My chanting, singing thing, that's what you got in after. So we have no sound. Our PA system, we asked for it to be stolen, and we were very successful. And they did a very good job, and I hope that they're enjoying it, and that whoever has it, that is bringing them some type of peace, and is helping their experience in some way. See, you know, I got to that after I called them a few bastards. Now, it's like right behind your ego thought is the truth. So it's not about pretending you're holy and blowing a gasket because you're trying to pretend you're okay about something that you don't feel okay about, and that's being spiritual, which is what most people think being spiritual means. It's pretending that you don't feel what you really feel, and that makes you a spiritual person. So I go ahead and feel my feelings first, which was in the form of disappointment, anger, victimhood, whatever it was that I thought I felt in the moment when I first heard about it, and then ask the Holy Spirit to give me another way of looking at it, because he said, at least I can decide I don't like the way I feel right now, so I want another way to look at it, ask for another way to look at it. And what I got immediately was, first of all, this is going to give you the opportunity to present yourself and present what you do in a way that's different from what you normally do it, so to give you that new experience. And also you're getting the chance to learn the lesson that there is no loss under the laws of God, and that an opportunity to re-perceive them, and like I said, ask for it to somehow help them in some way, shape, form, or fashion that it benefit them. Because if I get on a level of consciousness of grievances, then it's going to block my miracles, and I'm not going to let them be, what they did, be important enough to block my miracle, which is a smooth running, harmonious life. So I'm not going to do that to myself, because the once you start fulfilling your function, you realize you're being taken care of, and so the most important thing for you to protect, in a sense, is your peace, because everything comes out of your peace. So you find that you don't want to get involved in the kind of pointless arguments and debates that most people get involved with when you're letting the vibration of who you are allow you to be supported by the universe. So you have a vested interest in being loving and peaceful, because your life simply goes a lot easier. And all those people who would attack you or hurt you, for some reason they start to fade out of your experience until you wake up one day like I do and realize there's absolutely nobody in my physical reality that I can think of or know who seems like they're trying to limit me, block me, judge me, stop me, criticize me, argue with me on any level. And I remember a time I would have thought that was be an impossible statement to say in the world, but that's exactly the experience that I'm giving myself through practicing the truth right now. And all I did was change my mind and not anybody else's, and let the Holy Spirit change my mind. I'm gonna keep saying it. The truth way is easier than the way the world teaches. It's easier. It's different. It's different, but it's easier. It's easier. So if do you want it easier? Yeah. Everybody, you want it easier?
Yeah.
Is that cool? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Maybe the Holy Spirit wants you to sing and chant a cappella.
It would make it so much easier for us.
Aquapello.
Aquapello.
Aquapello. I'm gonna do it. Okay. All right. Okay.
You're an
All right.
aquapello.
That's like our workbook lesson today when the Course in Miracles is like, let me recognize the problem so the problem can be solved. Let me recognize the problem so the problem can be solved. Let me recognize the problem so the problem can be solved. Let me recognize the problem so the problem can be solved. Say what? Let me recognize the problem so the problem can be solved. Let me recognize the problem so the problem can be solved. Let me recognize the problem so the problem can be solved. Let me recognize the problem so the problem can be solved. All right. So there. May the Course be with you. I love y'all. Thank you for coming
Thanks,
out
Earl.
tonight. You're so cool.
Thank you, Spoosh.